As you guys are aware, Liz Cheney has kind of an ongoing feud with Kevin McCarthy. Of course, Kevin McCarthy is the House Minority Leader, so the leader of the Republicans in the House, and he's very pro-Trump. Now, initially, right after January 6th, he was so sick of Trump, he wanted him to step down. He was wanting the Republican Party to move on, and then once he realized the Republican Party wasn't moving on, he flew down to Mar-a-Lago, kissed the ring, and you guys know the rest is history, as they say. But Liz Cheney, of course, didn't do that. She, after January 6th, kind of spoke out aggressively and has become a figure for the kind of anti-Trump Republican movement, if you want to call it that, or the set group of America that is Republican but against Trump. And so they kind of represent this clash that we've seen within the Republican Party that I think still, as of now, the Trumpsters are dominating in at least the popularity of their beliefs within their own party. But it's very prevalent, and it doesn't always go Trump's way. We've seen situations where the Pence-backed candidate, who also now has become a little bit more of the establishment, will win in some of these primary races against the Trump-backed candidate. And so sometimes it mixes up, but still I think the Republican Party is more with Trumpism than it is with kind of the Liz Cheney brand, as we're seeing with her race is not looking good for her. But there was a moment on Fox News where a guy interviewed Kevin McCarthy about Liz Cheney, or within an interview asked him about Liz Cheney, and he gave an answer. And when I watched it initially, I just thought, that what is he saying? This makes no sense. And then later the reporter goes, hey, we're actually getting word in from Cheney's campaign responding to Kevin McCarthy's interview that we just showed on air. And she said, this is just a word salad and it makes no sense, which is exactly the sense I got when I saw it before I saw her response, because he just says nothing. He says multiple words that mean something but nothing, if that makes sense. And so often we see politicians say a whole lot of nothing, which this is a great example of that. So here's this interviewer cutting to a little bit of this interview, and then we'll get to Liz Cheney's response that he reads out.
And the principal philosophy is less government, an idea of freedom in the aspect.
Okay, the principal philosophy, all right, I see how that could go somewhere good. The principal philosophy, let me cut back because I already forgot, but he gets to is the
aspect, just the concept, an idea of freedom in the aspect.
Wait.
Less government.
From Congress.
Ready?
And the principal philosophy is less government, an idea of freedom in the aspect.
The principal philosophy is less government, and the idea of freedom and the aspect.
Just the concepts. Just the concepts. A country that's conceived in liberty and dedicate the proposition that we're all.
But hasn't she fit that?
Looks like he opened up his English book and just kind of threw a bunch of words that he was supposed to memorize. What are we talking about? Let's watch that one more time. He seems very confused.
And the principal philosophy is less government, an idea of freedom in the aspect. Just the concepts of a country that's conceived in liberty and dedicate the proposition that we're all.
But hasn't she fit that?
Guys, that is silly time. I mean, that means absolutely nothing. I get what he's trying to say. She's gone against the center core message of the Republican Party, which is small government, freedom, and liberty. But the way he delivers it just absolutely made no sense. And we see this a lot with politicians in speeches, where you'll be watching and you'll think, or you'll be listening and think, oh, that's kind of nice. That's inspiring. That feels good to the ears. But then when you really break down what they're saying, it's not actually delivering any substance. So to be like, we as Americans must unite around the beauty of our diversity within the triumph of the moment that we all call the love of our dignified journey along the path that we unite around within the moment that we call America. And you just wait. What just happened? I mean, those were all English words, but I didn't actually derive meaning from them. So then Liz Cheney calls that out with this.
We just heard back from Cheney's campaign during this whole discussion we're having right here about what he's been saying. Congressman Kevin McCarthy has been saying. Representative Liz Cheney says, quote, "It's really difficult to understand that word salad. Was there an actual sentence in there somewhere?"
That is such a good response from Liz Cheney. Instead of actually, having to address what he said or try to refute the points that he didn't really make, just calling out how incoherent it was is beautiful. And I love that moment from Liz Cheney.